Okay. So, right. What, Jai, Jaima, what are we going to talk about today? Um, we have a vast array of possibilities.
Yeah, I mean, Anna, yeah, you can start if you want. I mean, yeah,
You can start. It's always me.
Okay.
fair enough. Okay, so I mean, the thing that's in my mind was just that I was trying to understand the relationship with like Shiva and Lord Krishna. I know, yeah, and also like the fact that the reincarnations of Vishnu. Yeah, I'm trying to understand that. How did that come about?
Right, this
Yeah.
is, yes, is a very interesting question. It's a very interesting topic. Right, because most people uh, have a strong identification with the physical body, so they feel, they think, they believe they are the body. And maybe they have a soul, maybe, I don't know, somewhere. This is very confusing. And it's also confusing when we try to think about God, because we tend to project on God the same concept, the same ideas that we have about ourselves. You know, there is a famous saying that God made man on his image, after his own image. And the same is, applies also for human beings. They see God in their own image. So when they see that in Hinduism we have the concept of avatar, they get a bit confused, of course. And some people also contributed to the confusion, like for example in this the movie Avatar that became very famous, not because of the avatar concept, but because the story was a nice story, but has nothing to do with the concept of avatar. Another way that the term has been misused is on social media. When you present yourself with a particular name, moniker, or picture, sometimes there are also oops, you're right, we have a connection problem. Let's see if the connection problem can be solved. Can you still hear? Okay. Oh, good. We have, yeah, are you still there? Not really. Okay, trying to reconnect.
What?
Yes, yeah. I think we are back. Yeah, the connection is lousy. Anyway, so I was saying that on social media, people use the term avatar in some improper manner, like a manifestation of oneself. And there are also some software, some particular types of software where you can create your own avatar. In the virtual world, the term avatar is applied to anyone. So if you just change your profile picture and name, then you have a new avatar, right? But tell.
In that case, what is, in your perspective and with your knowledge, what is means avatar? Or
Yeah,
what is
exactly.
avatar?
Yeah. Avatar in Sanskrit means who descends, coming down, and manifesting. In a sense, it's not very different from the concept of the social media, but it applies only to the manifestation of pure consciousness. So the body of the avatar is made of pure consciousness. So it's not a reincarnation. It's not even an incarnation. Sometimes avatar is translated as incarnation, although not as reincarnation. Now, incarnation is quite common, but also it's not very appropriate, because the term incarnation has been created by Christian theology to refer to Jesus Christ, who is, according to Christian theology, who is God, but became a human being. So he was bleeding, he died, and all this stuff. The avatar does not, in the sense that the avatar doesn't have a material body. Now, let's make a difference, let's try to explain the difference between material and spiritual. Material means limited by time, space, and individuality. Something material becomes manifested, like it is born, it is created, it is made, it is built in a particular moment, in a particular place, and then at the end it becomes destroyed. And this applies to the material bodies. So when we reincarnate or incarnate, we develop a material body. Now, the avatar is always on the transcendental level. It means that it has complete control over its form. And this is spiritual. We are also spiritual. We are also spiritual entities, and we have a material body. So this is the difference. Most people think that we are the body and we have a soul, but the Vedic knowledge and the yoga specifically explains that we are a soul and we have a body, which is a totally different situation.
It means like we are spiritual in the material body.
Exactly.
Not like some people think then we are material and we go to be spiritual.
Exactly. We are already spiritual. Everyone is spiritual.
Yeah.
Okay. Some people confuse and say, oh, maybe, so many people don't have a soul. Maybe you have seen that around. The theosophical idea, Helena Blavatsky was telling, proposing this theory that there are lots of people without a soul. This is a typically Abrahamic concept. It has nothing to do with the Vedic knowledge. Because we are the soul, so we cannot exist if there is no soul. So now we have to understand what the soul is. Okay, the soul
Yeah.
is usually defined, the term for soul is Atma. Atma literally means the self. Now,
Means what, sir? You said the Atma literally means?
The self. Self.
the self.
Atma.
Yeah.
So, literally, it's us. We are the soul, the self. Now, the term Atman is also applied to God. Specifically, God is called Paramatma, means the supreme soul, the supreme self. Now, we as souls are not limited by time and space. And we are not limited by material individuality, in the sense that when we reincarnate, because we as conditioned beings, we reincarnate, we take a material body, the individuality of that material body is not our real nature, because we have been other things. We had other bodies. Now maybe we are a woman. Last lifetime we were a man. Or the other way around. This time we were a man, and last life we were a woman. Or we could have been, Indian, Italian, Portuguese, Chinese, American, whatever, So the individual identity is limited. We can do some bit of change, but not so much. So that determines the individuality. But the soul is not subject to that. In the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna starts the teachings in Bhagavad Gita to Arjuna, specifically speaking about the soul, the Atman, and says that the Atman is unchangeable. It's always the same. It's not changing. And it's eternal, never dies, is never born. And the soul is made of existence, awareness, and happiness. Sat, Chit, Ananda. Sat means existence, eternity. Chit means awareness, knowledge, consciousness. And Ananda means happiness. This happiness is not limited by any conditions. That's why it's called unconditional happiness. We can take different material bodies from one lifetime to the other, but as long as we are conditioned by space, time, and individuality, we do not have complete control over the body. Because the body is controlled by nature, not by us. We can do a little bit of control, but it depends. It's a variable measure. It's not always complete.
This is your means, like we not control about the body. When you speak about we not control about the body, you speak about the time in the material body, correct?
We speak about the time in material body, the natural functions, like heartbeat, metabolism, lots of things that are depend on nature, like hormones, endorphins, all these things are controlled by nature. But as we become more expert, more detached, more aware, we can control better. Yoga is about that. specifically, the one of the main practices, techniques of yoga is pranayama. Pranayama means control of the prana.
It means control about the energy, then is flow in your body and your mind.
Precisely. And how we develop control over the prana? By learning to control the breathing.
Yeah. Like in that case, the prana is a kind of the breath working.
Yes. Pranayama is breathing work on the breathing, not just breathing, but a lot is based on breathing. Because the breath is carrying the prana. And the breathing is a function that can be completely outside our control or completely within our control. There is a big space, a big array, large range of level of controls over the prana. So, this is through the yoga, okay? The real yoga, the actual yoga. So it's a very scientific and complex system. Now, through the science of yoga, a human being can learn to control the body, the material body, to a very high extent. Like, there is a description of the 8 perfections of yoga, the yoga siddhis. Okay, so the 8 yoga siddhis, one is to become extremely light, no weight. You can fly. You can float in the air. Another one, you can become extremely heavy, like a mountain. Nobody can move you. Not even the elephants. Pull, they cannot move you. These, technically in Sanskrit, are called Laghima and Mahima. Then there is one of these capabilities, when you control the material elements of the body, is called anima. You can become extremely small, like, bacteria, size small, cell small. That is called anima. Then you can change the atoms of matter, including your own body. That is called prapti siddhi. Prapti. Prapti, Kamalasahita, Ishitva. They're all forms of controlling the material elements, the atoms, the molecules and the atoms. So, a yogi who has attained this capability, developed this capability through yoga, can completely control the functions of the body, can stop the breathing and start it again, can stop the heart and start it again, can change the metabolism, can change the DNA, and can even project an astral body that can be perceived through the material senses. Everybody can project an astral body, but in order to project an astral body that can be perceived with the material senses and interact with material elements, is another story. You may have heard about the phenomenon of bilocation. Some people, especially some saints, in the past, but especially lots of yogis can do that, means they can appear simultaneously in two places, in two different places. It's called bilocation. In literally two places at the same time. So a yogi, an expert yogi who has developed this power to control the material elements, can manifest up to 8 of these forms of himself. Now, these capabilities that are attainable by human beings through the scientific process of yoga are more natural for higher beings that have become more evolved, that they evolved before. Now when they are born, they are already more evolved. So there are people who are born with, some special abilities, like telepathy, telekinesis, and all these things. And sometimes also these other powers, like modifying the material elements.
You means like imagine the similar of the souls, the in another plan they can transmute the picture of the souls for good and for show us, like if he wants to influence ourselves to believe then he's one person and then can change the picture and be another person.
You heard the expression shape shifting.
Okay.
This has been told forever in human history. And we have shamanic techniques to do that. And this is the origin of stories, for example, about the werewolves. In the Celtic and Norse tradition, the werewolves were called Ulfednar, and the bear people, the were-bears, were called Berserker. Now, the word Berserk has entered the English dictionary. So they say sometimes someone went berserk. This means because there was a group of warriors, a group of human beings who cultivated the spirit of the bear. So when they went into the battle, they were behaving like bears. So they went berserk. Berserk. But we can be, as human beings, through more scientific process, we can control this ability much better. It's not just the shamanic practices are also somehow effective, but they're not very scientific. They come only to a point. But the science of yoga can get much better, much more, can give much more. Of course, unfortunately, today when people think about yoga, they think about gymnastics to lose weight and look better.
Yeah, and acrobacies.
And yeah, exactly, twisting up and doing weird stuff. And, this tendency has reached, very, very weird levels, like they have the yoga of dogs. So it means that you are, dogs can also do yoga. Not really. Or they have the goat yoga, in which you get the goat that, jumps on your back when you're doing the stretching. Which is like, what? It has nothing to do with yoga. That's gymnastics.
You means like yoga is a style of life, and
yoga is a science.
Okay.
More than this lifestyle is a science. Of course, if you know the science, also your life habits can be adjusted according to your knowledge, according to your, your realization of the scientific principles. But, not many people actually know a lot about yoga. Now...
Sorry, Mataji. There was, when we went to that Radya, there was somebody on the stall saying something like, oh, do this course or whatever, you can rewire your brain. And it's interesting because me and Anna were having a conversation about that.
Okay.
About rewiring the brain. Remember?
Yeah, is the course is about the breath work and like to be fair, for me, it's like a brainwash.
Yeah. Okay. That's another big topic.
Yeah, because before I'm very interesting. Oh, and I speak with Dalip about that, and I said, oh, that one looks interesting. But then when we are reading a little bit more,
because these people are not, they don't actually know what they're saying. They're just repeating.
Yeah, I know, because
that's the problem. That's what I was telling already last time when you sent me the videos, and the photos. I was telling you, that's entertainment.
Yeah, because when I confront in some questions or like not agree with the holy person, then Dalip wants to speak
the devotee
about the specific things. It just start to call me posh.
Yeah, that's because they are not actually required to know the things they're talking about.
Yeah, because if he knows, he can answer.
Exactly, he can explain better. But the
point wrongs and make me feel like posh and stupid.
Yeah, it's this is a tendency that lots of human beings have. You'll find it in many fields. Like if you go to school, sometimes teachers don't really understand what they're teaching. And well, you know, you know how it goes.
Yeah, no, it's true. Because we just,
they just repeat what is in the book.
Yeah.
what they had to learn to pass the exam.
Yeah.
What I realize is on that specific festival, it's like we did a lot of people, to be true, but they are, and I can watch I can see in all the religions is a kind of manipulate the minds for the weak people, but it's not like a specific like show or teaching about the real culture. Because
exactly.
I think the important is like go deep to the culture. Not after that we can go to the religion, but when the people when they have the knowledge of the culture.
Yeah. So this tendency is a natural tendency of human beings who are not very intelligent, because they're just happy to follow. They're just that's why they're called sheeple. Means sheep people.
Yeah.
Okay, but some ideologies, specifically Abrahamic ideologies, have made this tendency, have presented this tendency as the highest level of religion. Starting with the idea of the original sin. You know what is the original sin in Christian mythology? You know?
Jesus, was there something about Jesus dying for the sins or something?
Yeah, but what is the sin? What is the original sin? Anything with the apple that makes it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, apple.
Like the beginning of everything.
Apple pie, yeah, original. Original means at the beginning, right?
Yeah.
So the original sin has nothing to do with fruits. You know, the apple is the fruit of the tree of the knowledge. And this guy in the Bible, this Yahweh, told Adam and Eve, you must not eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge, because if you eat it, you will die. But in fact, Yahweh with his other colleagues were saying, Adam and Eve should never eat this fruit of knowledge, because otherwise they will become like us. They will become like gods. So, when a religion says that the greatest original sin is to try to actually eat the knowledge, assimilate the knowledge that makes us similar to God, it's like, okay, we got the point. So we should not use our brains. We should not try to find intelligence. We just need to follow and choop. Never ask questions, because questions are not good. So,
yeah, probably because this is you call me posh, not because.
Yeah. This is the idea of the original sin. Asking questions is not seen favorably. You see, but that's not the Vedic system. In Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that one should get the knowledge by asking all the questions, all the possible questions. Pariprasnena, says the Gita. So, the problem that I have been observing in the last 20-30 years in these people who go around and, institutional religion, like the, Hare Krishnas, let's say, we actually usually call them ISKCON people, which is more correct, because that's the name of their organization. That's the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, at ISKCON, okay? It's an acronym, okay? They have developed a very strong Abrahamic or Christian mentality, which probably they had even before, but they have come to think that is the actual true, way to become spiritual.
But in that case, Mataji, if the people read, stop. If the people read that book,
Bhagavad Gita, yes.
Yeah. If they read that book, what it means is a religion and spiritual, or a culture, about a culture, how can the people don't understand the meaning of the things, and they cannot be able to ask the questions?
Because they've been brainwashed.
And they don't understand.
Because they've been brainwashed. You see that everywhere. You see, for example, in the Christians, how many Christians have actually understood what's written in the Bible? And still, some people, they think they're reading the Bible, carrying the Bible around. Oh, the Bible here, the Bible there. They have no idea what's written inside. Because what they read is only one verse here, one verse there, and usually they are not reading it themselves. the priest is reading it to them. It's called cherry picking. You know, just pick whatever you like and leave the rest. Take it out of context. You know that especially the Catholic Church had a list of the prohibited books that Catholic people could not read and could not even have with them in their house, you know. And if they were found with these books in their house, they were going to be killed. Because that was a sin, prohibited. It was prohibited. And this list was abolished only in the 1960s. And guess what? The Bible was on top of the list of these prohibited books. Catholics until the 1960s were prohibited from actually reading the Bible. They could only hear some pieces here and there read by the priests. But they could not have the whole book and read the whole book. And in the same way, the prayers and everything could not be in the local language. They had to be in Latin. So that, you know, people who didn't study Latin could not understand what they were talking about. And now the new Pope is bringing back this system. And I remember when I was a child, I had to learn the prayers in Latin. And good thing that I was interested in studying Latin. So when I went to school, I studied Latin. But lots of people, like my mother just went to primary school. She didn't go and study Latin. She had no idea what she was talking about. And this applies in the same way to all the people who think that knowledge is dangerous. Using one's intelligence is dangerous. Oh, tell.
Yeah, because make you feel more aware and
exactly. You know, it's more difficult to manipulate and exploit people who have knowledge.
Yeah, in the politics is the same.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
It's easy to manipulate the minds and do whatever they want.
Exactly. You can manipulate, you can control, you can exploit, you can, you know, do whatever you want. If someone doesn't have knowledge, they're like puppets. They have no possibility, no ability, no power to change their life.
Yeah, but this is what I feel like kind of, what is the word? I don't remember the word, but imagine like if everyone knows then the Indian culture, I mean culture, not religion, is like a very
okay.
A very spiritual culture, and with a lot of knowledge in the spiritual way. I mean culture, not religions.
Okay, culture and religion, we can discuss about that separately. Finish your thought.
Okay. Because I think like most of the people interesting about the specific religion, like whatever it is, like follow the Shiva, then follow the
yeah.
No.
That's a projection. It's not a real fact.
He don't want to learn, or he don't want to.
We are getting there.
Learn about.
No, I understand your point, but it is not a fact. in the sense, I was discussing about these things to come to understand what is God, if God is incarnated or reincarnated or not, right? That was the original question. Yeah. So I have started to build the foundations for the answer. Okay. And now we have come to the first floor. We built the foundations. We have come to the first floor that I was, I'm going to say it now, that whatever powers we can develop spiritually, because we have those powers, but we're not manifesting them, God has in unlimited amount. Because God is everything that exists. It's a sum total of everything.
Yeah, it's inside of everything. It's part of everything.
The other way around. Everything is part of God.
Yeah.
So, here, when we talk about spirituality versus religion, I know there is a lot of discussion about that. Even some Indian people, I've seen, people getting confused about that. Because they have this idea of religion that is according to the Abrahamic model. To the Christian model, the Muslim model, the Jewish model, Abrahamic, okay? Right. Because they're all referring to Abraham, okay? That's why we call them Abrahamic, okay? All these religions have nothing to do with spirituality. Why? Because they teach that we are the body.
They don't teach we are energy and we are
planet. They don't know what the soul is. They always speak about the soul, but they don't know what the soul is. They are just repeating what they have been told and they don't understand.
This is what you mean, like you don't understand like the concept of the soul, yeah?
Exactly.
Okay.
Just like we were mentioning earlier, that some people think that there could be, some people who don't have a soul. Of course, if you think you are the body and have a soul, that's confusing. So what's the soul? Mm-hmm. So who goes to heaven or hell? You or the soul? It's a very simple question, but if you ask a Christian, they will get angry because they don't have the answer. So when in the Genesis we see that Yahweh is creating a human being, creating man, he takes some mud and makes a little puppet of doll, made of mud, and then he gives it the soul. So this soul in the Bible, it is actually the Hebrew name for what they call the soul is reuch, which means breath. And it's the same in Greek that has been translated. The Bible we know, the Septuaginta, was written in Greek, not in Hebrew. The Masoretic Bible is written in Hebrew, but we have no example. It's much later in time. We don't have the more ancient Bible is in Greek. It's not in Hebrew. So in Greek, this reuch, what is that? Is pneuma, which literally means breath. You heard about pneumonia?
Yeah, I remember.
Pneumatic brakes. it's all about air, about breathing. But the soul is not the breath. The soul, the breathing, the breath is the prana, is not the soul. Prana and atma are different. But they don't understand. So the Christians say that when you die, you give back your soul to God. Right? Render the soul to God. You heard about that?
No, I never listened.
There is an expression. I know it's there in Italian.
Oh, I think it's a kind of Muslim way, yeah?
Yeah, Muslim, Christians, it's the same. Jews, it's the same. But in Italian there is a very clear, saying, but also in English. Like, you heard about that? Rendering the soul to God? Giving back
I never listened.
the soul to God, right?
No. I never listened to the expression.
Yeah, you heard of it. Yeah. So if when you die you give the soul back to God, what happens to you? You remain without a soul. You die means you cease to exist. You stop existing. So what do you care if your soul goes to heaven or to hell? What's your problem? It's not you.
Makes sense.
And that's why, especially in the Romantic period, in the 1700, 1800, Renaissance, like that, when people started to have the courage to use their brain, we have the story like, you probably heard about Dr. Faust, who sold his soul to the devil.
No, I never listened about it.
There's a lot of people. You never heard the expression selling one's soul to the devil?
No. Probably
Okay.
not.
Yeah, no problem. It happens.
Probably nothing that it make me feel like interesting to.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting to go and find out. But if you sell your soul, huh?
No, I've heard that expression obviously. I've heard it.
You haven't.
I have.
Oh, you have. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's pretty famous. Pretty famous. Anyway, so if you sell your soul to the devil takes your soul away. What's your problem? It's not you. Then they say, oh no, but you go to hell. No, your soul goes to hell. Without a soul, you don't exist. Well, what are you? A body? A body dies. So what are you? You're not the soul. So what are you? Where you go? What happens to you at death?
This is, I think, is a little bit of the questions of the Dalit on that specific question and answers in the Holy Person, with the Holy Person.
Yeah, I mean, they don't know.
He asked about the time. I think, Dalit, can you remember me, like the questions is about what's happening?
Yeah, the question, I asked something about death. What was it?
Is it like about the people that die on the hair crash in the Indian?
Oh yeah.
Indian.
Yeah, I was asking him, like, was it predetermined? Yeah, like for example, the plane crash. Was that predetermined? Like, is there anything they could have done, like, to avoid that, or was it already like written?
Yeah, the question of free will. Yeah.
Yeah.
From birth, what was it? Yeah.
Basically, he turns around the questions and turns around.
Yeah, because he doesn't know. He doesn't know.
Yeah,
because,
he said 50-50, 50%.
Yeah, exactly, 50-50, right. So, I mean, I cannot be completely wrong if I give 50-50, even if I have no idea what I'm talking about. There are 50% chances I'm right.
Yeah, that was, I think that was his get out of jail card.
Sometimes I said, even a broken watch is right twice a day.
Angie, yeah.
You know, somewhere is 10 o'clock. You know, sometime in the day and night it's 10 o'clock. So, but that's because of the influence of the Abrahamic ideologies, where, you know, the standard of religion has been established as following, believing, having faith, supporting. It's not about knowing or understanding.
Sorry.
Tell.
No, I just said for Dalip, stop with the noise.
Okay.
Otherwise, you're not listening.
Yeah, it's okay. So the point, the word religion comes from the Latin religare, which means to connect. Now, depending on how you identify, you will develop the idea of connection. If you identify materially, you will connect with a community, an organization, a tradition, whatever, and that is your idea of religion. If you identify as the soul, as the spirit, as Atma, you will connect you as spirit with the universal spirit, and that's spirituality. So there is the difference between spirituality and religion is simply the fact that you don't understand what spirituality means, so you think that religion just means having faith and following, as you need to do in the Abrahamic religions. This, you see the problem here.
Yeah.
It's a point, you know, it's based on identification. If you think you're the body, your religion will be material. If you realize, you understand that you're spirit, then your religion will be spiritual. Now, when we were saying that God is the supreme spirit, you know, it means that whatever perfection, spiritual perfection, we can attain as human beings, God already has in the maximum degree. So, a human being, through the science of yoga, as we were mentioning earlier, can control the material elements. Okay, so he can shape-shift, he can project the different bodies of himself at the same time, he can do a lot of things. He can get in and out of body very easily. He can get into the body of others. You know, some yogis, not many yogis do that, because usually they do it only when they're not very expert. So they take a dead body, recently dead body, where the soul has gone somewhere else and doesn't care about the body anymore. They enter that dead body, so they don't have to go through the whole taking birth and growing up thing, and they don't have to keep putting a lot of effort into controlling an astral body that can interact on the material level, which takes a lot of energy, takes a lot of work. So, you know, as a shortcut, they can do Parakaya Siddhi. But that's not very common. But God has a complete control, so it can manifest and unmanifest, appear and disappear, and change shape, whatever, because he has all the shapes at the same time. So when we say incarnation or even reincarnation of God, You see how limited it is. In fact, God is not limited by space, time, or individuality. God is everywhere. So it doesn't incarnate in a specific body. He can manifest a specific body, but that body is not limited by ignorance. And the inability to do something is basically ignorance. Does that answer your question?
Valid.
And yeah, I think so, yeah.
But you see, I had to start from the beginning of time.
Yeah, I understand, Mataji. You know, it's good to hear like that.
Yeah, because there is no yes or no answer to questions like this. You need to understand the foundations of the knowledge.
Yeah, I suppose when I've read some books and it talks about reincarnation of like Vishnu, there's 9 reincarnations.
No, actually there are 10 main avatars. They're not reincarnations.
I know they use that. Yeah,
in
sorry,
that case, sorry. Finish, Alec.
No, I was saying I know they use that word reincarnation when you read like certain texts.
Yeah, it's a bad word. Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're probably trying to say that. Okay.
Yeah, they're trying to say that, but they're not saying it right. Like for example, one thing that I've noticed, a lot of Hindus speak about the Murtis and they call them idols.
Oh yeah.
Which, makes me furious every time. Because the word idol means false god.
Yeah.
So when a Hindu devoutly speaks about the idol of Krishna, he is an idiot. He's shooting his own foot. Because he thinks that he's being learned, he knows English. He doesn't. He learned English in a missionary school, where the priest told him that what you're worshipping is an idol. And he said, oh, yes, okay, then it's called idol. Yes. Yeah, well...
But I suppose, Mataji, I know that obviously there are statues, and nobody's saying God is in the statue, of course. But...
why not? Statue is better than idol.
Yeah, but I suppose if I look at the point of view where,
I think, are you on speaker?
No. I'm sorry, I got my Bluetooth once.
Yeah, because the sound is not very clear. I have a little bit of difficulty in hearing you. Maybe, I don't know, maybe nearer to the microphone I don't know.
Okay, I'll try that. Yeah, so, what was I saying?
It's better now.
It's better. Okay, I'm right next to my mouth is right next to the phone now. But so with the obviously the statues that we have in Hinduism, I know from the people who are looking on the outside, for them it's like, oh yeah, we are thinking that God is in the statue, but I'm pretty sure nobody thinks like that in Hinduism, because we know that it's just there to help.
Then why they call it idol?
Yeah, I agree with you. If there's a better word, definitely. But yeah,
if you don't want to call them Murti or Vigraha or Pratima, whatever, you can call them sacred images. They can call them icons. What do you think? The statues of the Mother of Jesus is what? An idol? They call it idol? I don't think so.
No. I think the idol thing, I think I could be wrong. It was given by...
Exactly. So in the same way, when they speak about incarnations of Vishnu, they don't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Because the body of the avatar is not made of flesh. Tell.
This is the question, because he said who is the incarnation of But a holy person said something about that, the incarnation. What is the name, Dalip? I'm Barbie.
Is it Vishnu?
Avatar, Vishnu, yeah.
Yeah, in that case, it's not like incarnation, it's avatar, yeah?
Exactly. But this is a problem, that this devotee that you were talking to is just a neophyte. He doesn't know. It's a catechist. He has been catechized. He's just repeating this thing mechanically. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, he's a good talker. I'll give him that. He's good at just like.
It's just talking. It's just talking.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you have people who go to sell stuff.
Yeah. Salesman. Yeah.
Salesmen.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that they believe what they're saying or they know what they're saying.
Yeah.
Well, their job is to sell it.
That's it. Yeah. That's it.
And that's why I was saying it looks like entertainment. It's advertisement for their organization. It doesn't have much to do with God.
I think that the problem is not just the knowledge of the things, but is like sorry, the people that go there to ask questions, they think it's like rude to contradiction the idea that you have or the direction that they have.
Yeah, challenging.
And this is probably because he called me that, because I contradicted the idea.
Because they don't like questions.
Yeah,
why they don't like questions? Because they don't know the answers.
Don't
the thing
stay
is,
there.
the guy who was talking to us, this whole thing was set up for a question answer with a monk, something like that.
No, but there's a question answers just like when you go to the exam at school about history. You have a particular set of questions and answers, and if you don't, tick the right box, you're failed. That's called indoctrination. That's not called studying or understanding or realizing or whatever. It's not knowledge. It's indoctrination.
The peoples go there because they need to believe in something.
Of course.
And when they said something about religion, Shiva is that person and they have that power, so like Ganesha, remember the names. Ganesha have these things and that powers. The people just want to believe in something and they follow the leaders because it's better than don't follow anything.
Because especially those who are already accustomed to the Christian mentality.
Yeah.
So, if they are okay with that, they will just, stick Krishna's face on the idea of God. So, but that's not Krishna. That's something with a label stuck on it. That's what I am trying to address, by trying, my work is to, offer more knowledge, better knowledge to people so that they can better understand.
Yeah.
And realize, the litmus test, when you see in Gita, Arjuna is asking Krishna how we can tell if a person is actually realized, if a person actually has the knowledge. And Krishna basically says, if someone does not identify with the body, as long as someone is identifying oneself and the others on the basis of the physical body, it means they don't understand. They don't know what spirit is.
Yeah, because after he talked about something about happiness, the happiness is inside.
Yeah.
What I agree is nothing exterior, material things, but is like the stage then you feel in yourself. And
you're not. Our real nature is the self, Satchidananda. Happiness is a natural state of the soul.
Yeah, but then he mixes up a lot of things together. It looks like a cocktail. This is because
khichdi. In India we say khichdi.
Yeah, and I disagree with him and try to make answers and contradiction what he said, and then he start to reacting like
exactly, get angry
at them. Not disrespectful at all.
No, but annoyed. Let's say.
But
not happy. Not happy.
If you want to speak about something, in my point of view, if you want to speak about something, you need to have like the basic knowledge for speak about. Otherwise, you just gonna vomit the words and you read somewhere.
You know that this is not a fact. That that most people are not that evolved. They are happy just following. They think they are in a good position because they're good followers. And they believe. That's because they think religion is based on faith and belief and following. So when you talk about religion, that this is the idea they have. But we have seen that this is not the real religion.
Yeah, this is because I don't believe in religion.
Exactly, and you're right.
I believe in spiritual way.
Exactly. But your religion can be spiritual in the sense you can connect with God.
Yeah.
But that's religion as well.
And this is not in the same way.
Yeah, exactly. And this is the best meaning of religion that justifies the freedom of religion as a fundamental human right. But the point is that it's confusing because when they speak about freedom of religion, they refer to the material religion, which is the belief, the belonging, the following, the group. So if someone, invents a religion that says that you have the duty to kill all those who don't believe in your religion, what kind of human right is that?
Yeah.
That's why we need to make a clear distinction between dharmic religions and adharmic religions. Dharmic religions.
Can you explain a little more of that point?
Exactly, I was just going to. Dharmic religions means dharma is a nice word that not many people understand, but originally it comes from the Sanskrit root dhar, which means to support, to sustain, and refers to the eternal, universal principles of natural ethics, because they support the life, the progress and the happiness of the individual and the community. So, the basic principles of Dharma are described in the Shastra, Vedic scriptures, Hindu scriptures, as starting from truthfulness, honesty, sincerity. That's the first one. Satyam paradharma. So, truthfulness, sincerity, honesty is a basic principle of Dharma. But it's not a basic principle of Abrahamic religions. Oops.
Okay.
Oops. So you have in the Christianity, the term used is propaganda. Propaganda is a Latin term that was invented specifically by the Catholic Church, which means the version of the facts that must be propagated, must be given to the public, which is not the real one. Propaganda. Propaganda means the official version that needs to be given to the people. How does it sound for truthfulness? Not very well. And one of the first historians of Christianity, Bishop Eusebius of Caesarea, who was a contemporary of Constantine the Great, he wrote the history of the church, and one chapter is entitled that it is a very good thing to tell lies to the people to keep them faithful.
This is propaganda.
Yeah. And yeah.
Yeah, continue.
No, and the same we have in Islam. Only the word is taqiyya. You heard about this term, taqiyya?
No?
Nope, probably not. It's precisely the same. Taqiyya means that it is a very good thing to tell lies to the non-Muslims so that they will think that Islam is a very good thing. Go check it. And the same in Judaism, the same concept is called kol nidre. Same. And you know what is the motto of the Mossad? You know the Mossad? You heard about the Mossad?
No.
Mossad is the secret service of Israel. Mossad.
No. I never read about it.
The motto of the Mossad is one verse from the Bible. It's saying, by deceit you will make war. Means it is very good to use lies in war. False propaganda, fake news.
Yeah.
So, you see, this is the Abrahamic foundation, the basis of Abrahamic ideologies, and they were copying Plato. You heard about Plato?
About?
Plato, Greek philosopher.
Yeah.
Okay, Plato, in his book The Republic, speaks about the noble lie, which means that it is a very good thing to tell lies to the people to keep them behaving properly.
Thank you.
But this is against the very, most basic concept of Dharma. Dharma means honesty.
But In that case, I have a question, like, with
Sure.
your knowledge. Explain me, like, in the easy way, probably.
Yeah.
What is the difference between dharma and karma?
Dharma and karma.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah, sure. Dharma is the principle and karma is the application. The karma means action, and it comes to include action, reaction, and the connection between the action and reaction. Karma is a positive word. To indicate what we call bad karma, it's actually vikarma or ugra karma even. Vikarma means something that you should not do, but it's not that bad. And ugra karma means criminal action. But karma in itself is a positive word. It actually means duty, which is the duty according to the dharma. Duty means according to the ethical principles, right? Your duty is to do good things. It's not your duty to do bad things, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So the dharma is good things. Karma means doing good things. The application. The point is, if you do a dharmic karma, that's not karma, that's vikarma or ugra karma. It's always action, and you're always going to learn one way or the other, but you're going to get beaten up by the laws of nature. Because
in that case,
yeah.
When the people speak about, like, oh, you coming for this life with that specific karma, whatever it is, like, for example, relationships, you have karma in the relationships, yeah? And,
yeah.
when the people are reincarnation with that karma,
yeah,
it means, like, what they can do or supposed to do for healing and be a dharma.
Yeah, healing comes after learning.
Okay.
Healing cannot come without the learning. It's like you have a bad habit. Let's say you smoke cigarettes.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, if you get, chronic bronchitis, like I was getting when I was smoking a lot of cigarettes, you can try some healing. You take some medicines, you make some fumigation, whatever. But unless and until you stop smoking, what kind of healing you can get? So there is no healing without learning, without modifying, without removing the cause for the disease. You understand?
It means, like, you don't have healing if you still continue to go in the same pathway.
Yeah, I mean,
like,
you can be healed. Action. Yeah, you can be healed temporarily, but it will come back.
Yeah. Okay.
It's like you take bath because you're all dirty and muddy. You take bath and then you go roll yourself in the mud again. Yeah, you got cleaned. Yeah, for a very short time. Yeah, but it's not. Yeah.
In that case, if we coming with some karma for the past lives, how can we, or what we can do in the specific way to transmute for dharma?
Okay, dharma are the basic principles, as I was saying before: truthfulness, honesty. The second one is compassion. Compassion, love, benevolence, being nice to people, being friendly, not hating anyone, not going to disturb, not creating harm or suffering for anyone unnecessarily. This is compassion. Daya or ahimsa. Okay. Third one is cleanliness, purity. You need to purify yourself, to clean yourself of the bad things, bad habits, physical cleanliness, mental cleanliness, cleanliness of habits, cleanliness of speech, whatever. This is cleanliness, number 3. Number 4 is self-control and discipline, making an effort to improve yourself. These are dharmic principles that each one of us can apply even without knowing what karma we are, what bad karma, what vikarma we are carrying from previous lifetimes. Because everything we get as reaction to our actions is meant to teach us these 4 things, basically. To be honest, to be nice, to be clean, purify our mind, purify ourselves, and to control ourselves. Because the bad karma we get is from breaking these 4 principles.
Okay, and you don't believe then, for example, if the people do that dharma, like honesty, compassion, love, but uncontrolled, like it means like they give too much, they be so nice, they be so compassion, then in the big way of the word, they cannot be a karma.
Okay, this is interesting. This is where Bhagavad Gita is so valuable. So, if you go and reach the 17, 16, 17, and 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, which are the last 3 ones, the last 3 chapters, you will find Krishna is explaining that there are 3 ways of doing things. Starting also from chapter 14, the 3 gunas. You heard about the word guna?
No, Mataji, sorry.
Okay. No, don't be sorry. Okay, no problem. So I'll explain. If you don't know, I'll explain. Guna means quality, it means rope, it means tendency. So there are 3 gunas in the material energy, material world. One is called sattva, which means goodness. The other is rajas, which means greed. And the third is called tamas, which means darkness, ignorance, stupidity. So when we want to help others, this is definitely a sattvic intention. But we have to be careful to avoid getting our actions contaminated by rajas and tamas, means by greed, personal selfish desire, rajas, passion, avidity, like we want something for ourselves, and tamas, which means ignorance, foolishness. And Krishna is explaining, for example, charity, just giving to others. Like you're saying, healing, giving. So the charity in sattva, explains Krishna, is you give to the right person in the right way, in the proper way, correct, useful, with all the knowledge, with all the understanding and information and the clear vision, and you don't want anything in return. That is there is no rajas, there's no greed from your side, you're not even interested in using this charity to build your own self-esteem.
Okay.
That's also part of greed. It's a good greed because you're hungry. Come on, seriously. Most people today, just look around, thanks to the Abrahamic ideologies and post-Abrahamic, 98% of the people have a very damaged self-esteem.
Yeah.
So they're hungry. And when you're hungry, it's normal to be greedy. When you're really hungry, and it's very natural to put more stuff on your plate than you would actually need to eat. Right? That's why,
In that case, what you want to explain me is like, if you do that things, you feel that things graded, yeah?
Greed.
Yeah. If you do that kind of things, like whatever you do for cool charity or for forgiveness or give to the other ones, is always for
will bring suffering. Will bring suffering because you expect something in return. And because you're not doing it properly, you don't know what you're doing.
But in that case, that expectation, then you have to receive something, or it can be like unconscious.
Of course. That's why I believe, I'm convinced that it is very important to integrate our subconscious. Because as long as we have subconscious conflicts, we are not really able to drive our car. Because we have, the subconscious is like the co-pilot sitting in the the next seat. We are supposed to drive the car, and the co-pilot is trying to pull the steering wheel away from us and pushing on the pedals, and doing a lot of things that subconscious wants to help, but when it is not properly integrated, when it's not properly programmed, it creates lots of troubles. That's called inner conflicts, self-sabotage. You heard about that?
Yeah.
And that's not because you're bad. That's simply because you don't know what's happening. Because you have not integrated your subconscious. You are not communicating with your subconscious properly. That's why, to everyone I will always say, make a dream diary. Because our subconscious is communicating with us mostly through dreams. And also through instincts, likings and dislikings, pulsions, attraction, rejection. So we have to study our mind, to control our mind, to study our mind and see what's the problem, where is the problem coming from.
In that case, you believe then the dreamings is a kind of message,
of course
they are, or we are be aware of the actions.
It's our subconscious telling us, okay, we have this. What are we going to do with that? When your subconscious is not properly trained, integrated, programmed like that, usually it takes all the debris, like the rubble, the rubbish from the day, and before throwing it out, it shows it to you. It's like, is there anything you want to keep? If you don't, if you say, no, I'm not interested, then subconscious throws the rubbish out. Sometimes the rubbish comes back inside from the window. And then the subconscious says, okay, we have a problem. Boss, this rubbish keeps coming back. So, what are we going to do about it? And this is when we have recurrent dreams or recurrent problems that we call karmic problems, like karmic relationships, karmic bad behaviors, karmic problem, whatever karmic problem we get is actually, karmic because it comes as a result of our previous activities, choices, actions. Otherwise, it's not called karmic.
Okay.
So the difference between the dharmic religion and adharmic religion, means without dharma, is very important. Because, very often the word dharma is translated as religion. Just like the word vigraha is translated as idol, or the word avatar is translated as incarnation. But dharma doesn't mean religion. Oops.
What I understand, dharma is something that you're coming here to working for.
No, dharma is a universal law of nature.
Okay.
Is how we sustain ourselves and existence in itself. Because dharma is our purpose of life. We can say that the dharma of the sun is shining. We can say that the dharma of the fire is burning. The dharma of the water is being liquid. And the dharma of the living being is to cooperate to the universal community. And how you cooperate to the universal community if you don't have truthfulness, honesty, compassion, and purity and self-control? How you cooperate to the benefit of the universal community? You cannot. You're only going to make a mess. You're going to make a mess of your individual life, your personal life, and everybody's life. Just look around, look at the news. Yeah.
Yeah, but for example, some people, they said oh, I'm not gonna do this, or I'm gonna continue in that path because I don't want to make karma, and in that case I'm still do dharma. But
that's what we were talking about, when we were speaking about free will. Yeah.
Because in that case, if you use the dharma, in the extremely way, be honesty, but and compassion in the extremity.
No. Wait. Extreme is something that we have to understand.
Okay.
Truthfulness doesn't mean stupidity. I often make this example, we shouldn't tell lies, but for example, if you are sitting in front of the door of your house and there is a child that is running away from a criminal, and the child is desperate and running into the house and hiding into the house, when the criminal comes and he asks you, did you see a child running? What is truthfulness and honesty going to demand that you do?
Yeah, but in that case, I'm gonna lie.
Exactly, because by breaking the law, the letter of the law, by telling a lie, you are actually supporting the honesty. You're supporting the spirit of the law, the greater truthfulness that is that innocent people should be protected.
Okay.
That is true. That is a higher truth than telling the criminal where the child is hiding.
Yeah.
So there is no extreme. There is stupidity.
Okay.
What you call the extreme is actually lack of understanding, lack of knowledge. It's not extreme. You're not being too good. You think you're being too good, but in fact you're harming the people. Like, for example, there is a famous example, the typhoid, the fever. Maybe we don't have so much experience of typhoid fever, but it makes you very hungry. But if you eat, you will die. So when someone is suffering because the digestive system is totally in a mess and it cannot take it, it gives you the signal of being hungry because you're actually losing all your nutrients and your energy and everything. But if you eat, the reaction that your body will have is going to become much worse and you'll probably even die. So when someone is, has a typhoid fever and very hungry, coming to you asking for food, you think you're being good in giving them food.
Yeah.
Is that being too good?
No.
Okay, that's it. I rest my case.
Okay.
Your Honor. I'm the spiritual lawyer.
yeah. That one is the correct word.
Yeah, that's I owe my title to you.
Yeah.
That's.
But
that's
it's not me. Then he give you the title. It's them upstairs. Then he give you the title.
Sorry, I didn't hear.
It's not me. Then he give you the title like spirit.
Okay, yeah, sure, of course.
Then he give you the title.
Yeah, whoever gave the title was right. Okay.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. It's appropriate, accurate. Okay, so you see the dharma. We need to understand what dharma is.
Yeah.
It's not religion. It's not a commandment. It's not a rule. It's not an obligation. It's intelligence. It's common sense. It's a conscience. We all human beings have a conscience. And the conscience is telling us, that we need to work according to the principles of dharma.
Yeah, but in that case, if we know ourselves in the proper way, or like development that knowledge of ourselves, we always make and react and act with the correct dharma. The correct dharma. Okay.
Yeah, but knowing ourselves, it's a big a big task, and the Vedic knowledge is helping us because it's giving us a lot of information. It's like if you want to understand equations, mathematical equations, you can understand them yourself, but if you go to school and someone is teaching you the basics of mathematics, it's much easier. So how do you know yourself? How do you know if what you see is your actual self or your fantasy, your idea, your wish, your fear, your expectation?
No, but if you know, I'm going to give you an example.
Okay.
If we know, for example, your qualities and your defects.
Yeah.
Yeah? Like in the proper way.
Exactly.
No.
If in the proper way. Now, what is the proper way? Are you sure it is the proper way, or it is what you think is the proper way? how you verify, what kind of verification, measurement, standard you are going to use.
For example, I'll give you an example of myself, yeah? I know my qualities, yeah? But I know my defects. I know sometimes I'm stubborn, and sometimes I'm very what is the name? I'm very
controlling.
Controlling of
yeah,
that one is the word. Controlling of some
controlling in general.
Yeah. This means like if I know myself.
No, wait.
Okay.
What? You're saying.
Explain.
Yeah, exactly. Because you're saying, because 2 + 2 is 5, so blah blah blah. I stop you there. You don't really know where these defects are coming from.
Yeah,
you just accept the fact that you are like that. Now, what I can tell you by knowing the subconscious and knowing the science of the self, first of all, I'm going to tell you that all defects are qualities and all qualities are defects.
Oh, really?
Yep. This is number one, the first shock. Because if you are stubborn, that's a defect part of the quality of being serious, responsible, determined. These are good qualities, right?
Yeah.
But if you don't know what you are doing, that determination becomes stubbornness.
Okay.
And why you don't know what you're doing? Because you miss pieces of information. You don't know where it's coming from. And where it is coming from? It is coming from your idea that things must be done in a certain way.
Okay.
Right?
Right.
And that is the same, like, being stubborn and being controlling is basically the same thing.
Yeah, it's true.
It's just being stubborn means controlling one's own life. And when you want to control the other people's life, the other things outside you, then you are also controlling, control freak. But it's the same thing. And where is this coming from? It's coming from your experience that things must be done in the proper way, otherwise there will be hell to pay. There will be suffering, there will be loss, there will be disaster. But because you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle, you don't really know what you are missing, what information you're missing. Because by definition, if you don't know something, you don't even know that you don't know. Something you never experienced, how can you miss it? You never had it. You don't even know what it is. You understand?
Yes.
So the key is not, if you say, oh, I'm stubborn. Okay, that's not the solution. The real solution is asking yourself, finding out why you're stubborn. Where is this coming from? Your subconscious knows.
But in that case, probably it's coming the way then the things that you already pass in your life, experience that you have done in your life, and it make you turn for that way.
Exactly, but the point is, you know that way didn't work, but you don't know which way will actually work.
It's working. Okay.
You see, it's like, who was that? Edison saying, I'm not failed. I only discovered, I didn't fail 100 times. I only discovered 100 ways that don't work. You just need to find the one way that it will work. And that's where the knowledge comes in the picture. Sattva. And, you need also to fix your rajas, and your tamas, and go higher towards sattva, which means detachment. But detachment doesn't mean that you don't care. Detachment means you don't take it personally. You understand?
Yeah.
That's sattva. So, you know that your problems are coming from lack, damaged self-esteem. But
just tell me one thing. You said, because I'm writing.
Yeah.
You said detachment means you don't means you don't care. Means you
don't take it personally.
Okay.
You don't think it changes you.
Okay.
Whether you get what you want, whether you win or lose. Like Krishna says in Gita, victory or defeat, gain or loss, honor or dishonor, whatever, heat and cold, it just detach. It doesn't mean you don't feel them, doesn't mean that you shouldn't try to do your best. But, okay, I mean, we have the right to perform the action, but the result is not in our hands. We do our best, and then, if it happens, it happens. It doesn't, whatever comes out, that means what can come out of our action. That is the reaction, karma. Good karma will come back as good karma. The problem is that when we are performing our duty with the contaminations of rajas and tamas, it's not only good stuff that comes out. So it is mixed, some good stuff and some bad stuff.
I get it.
So, gradually we are learning. Every time we sit for the exam, we do better. Life is a big school.
Yeah, I know.
It's not a big deal. I know, okay, we failed the exam. Yeah, okay, we'll try next time. Next time we'll be more prepared. We learn.
Yeah, my granddad is always said, life is a big school. If you're not learning on the school, you're gonna learning on the day by day.
Yeah, in the street.
Yeah.
Yeah. School of life.
It's like more heavy, but if you don't learn in
exactly, because life as a teacher, first speaks softly.
Yeah.
Then the tone of voice rises. And then it becomes more harsh. And if you still don't don't listen, you can get slapped.
So, I get it.
So it's, the school of life has a purpose of teaching us. So where is the free will in this picture? The free will is, we are students in the school, and we need the free will in order to learn, because if we are not allowed to make mistakes, how are we going to learn?
Yeah, it's true.
Of course, we don't have to continue making mistakes because that's how we learn. No, okay. You learn not to make the same mistake. So that's the idea of free will. without the possibility of making mistakes, of being imperfect, how can we develop? How can we learn?
Yeah, it's true.
So that's
we need to be aware to don't make the same mistakes time by time, like always,
yeah.
But we need to do that for develop ourselves and for have more knowledge about how it is the things and how is work the things in when we do that actions.
Yeah, exactly. So we have different approaches, different levels, different techniques to do that in yoga, the real yoga. The real yoga is mostly about the mind, the consciousness. The physical part of the yoga is just to train the body and the body energy to be quiet so that you can focus on training the mind. But people don't understand that. They think the yoga is to train the body only. The mind, you can think about whatever you want, because they think that meditation means relaxing. Allowing the mind...
Huh? Before I forget, sorry. Yeah, I remember me and Anna came across, Bikram Yoga. You mentioned yoga. Have you heard of him? The guy called Bikram Yoga?
What's that?
His name's Bikram, Bikram, Bikram Yoga. He was a guy in America.
Oh, Bikram is the name of a guy. I heard about someone that...
Yeah, I know. He had a place in, where did we go?
Leicester.
Oh, Leicester. Yeah, Leicester. He's got like a place there, but I heard some controversial things about it.
Well, Bikram Yoga is a hot yoga. It's right on Wikipedia, on the internet. Wikipedia says Bikram Yoga is a system of hot yoga, which means a type of yoga exercise spread by Bikram Chaudhuri, which is a Bengali guy. Won't you guess? A Bengali guy. Bengalis are terrible. And based on the teachings of B.C. Ghosh, another Bengali guy, that became popular in the early 1970s. Classes consist of a fixed sequence of 26 postures, practiced in a room heated to 41 degrees Celsius with a humidity of 40%, intended to replicate the climate of India. Okay. The room is fitted with carpets and the walls are covered in mirrors, so you can see how ugly you are. The instructor may adjust the students' yoga postures. Chaudhuri's teaching style was abrasive. So we have Wikipedia showing this Bikram guy who is walking on the back of a lady who is sitting in a yoga asana. Yeah. God.
Yeah, I think from what I understand about him, he abused his position as a yoga teacher. He's very popular. But
of course, because it's just a physical thing. It's saying, Wikipedia is saying, Bikram Yoga spread rapidly across America and the Western world, reaching a peak of some 1,650 studios at least 40 countries in 2006. Chaudhuri attempted to copyright the Bikram Yoga sequence from 2011, but was ultimately unsuccessful. In 2016, facing lawsuits and accusations of sexual assault, Chaudhuri fled to India, leaving Bikram Yoga Inc. Incorporated to be run by others. These Bengali people can be very intelligent, very clever. And they can be very successful. Yeah. materially speaking. But that's not yoga. Sorry. You know,
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean to take
Yoga
track of it.
is a stage of mind and living, not like the physical, but mentally, yeah?
well, the real yoga is described by Patanjali. I beg your pardon, it's not Bikram Gai, it's Patanjali. Writing when, in his Yoga Sutras, is giving the definition of yoga that is, saying yoga is defined as the quiet in the movements of the mind. Probably this Vikram guy was explaining that when you stop thinking, you give up intelligence and you do whatever stupid things people are telling you to do. That's yoga. But that's not, that's not what Patanjali said.
That's not real yoga.
Yeah, that's not what Patanjali meant. Let me find the exact quotation from Patanjali. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Chitta Vritti Nirodha means Nirodha means the quiet, non-agitation. The Vritti is the movements. Chitta is the consciousness. Yoga is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Not this Vikram guy is just walking on the back of ladies. What is that? It's yoga? Sorry, seriously.
Means that guy is a...
Yeah, but lots of Indian people are, believe that. Yeah, because as I said, I know Bengali people very well. They can be very clever. They can be very clever. So what? Are we going to believe someone because they're Bengali? Thanks. Because they're Indian?
Return to the beginning of the conversation.
Okay.
You means like, I'm just asking.
Huh? Sorry?
I'm just gonna ask. All the gods is like avatar of Mahadev.
Oh, right. Interesting.
Mahadev,
Yes.
Mahadev from Mahadev.
Interesting. Okay, this is another big chapter because the word God is an English word, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And if you examine how it is used generally, it means a person who is the best, who is worshipped because he's the best, like the god of football, the god of rock and roll. Okay, and the idea, the word God is not there in many ancient religions. In Hinduism, in Vedic culture, what we translate as God, the original terms are Ishvara, Bhagavan, Param, which are very specific. Now, whatever a human being will worship and call that God may also be a very bad, entity. Because the god of rock and roll is not exactly, divine. It's not omniscient, it's not omnipotent, it's not all
my gosh.
good, is not all this stuff that we usually attach to God. That's not the fact. And in the same way, many of the so-called gods of ancient culture, like Greek culture or Egyptian culture, in ancient Egypt, ancient Greece, they were not really called God. They were called lords, powerful people, radiant people. And this is also present in the Hindu Vedic culture, knowledge. These powerful people, that are more powerful than human beings, are called deva. Deva means radiant with light. It's the same root of day, like the day has the light of the sun, right? So, deva is a superhuman being who is good, fundamentally good. So, devas are, for example, Indra, Surya, Vayu, Agni, and all these are representatives of God because they are the personifications of ontological principles of the material universe. Like Surya is the personification of the sun, like in the sky, sun.
Yeah.
Indra is a personification of the rain. So it's important, the rain is important. Agni is a personification of fire. Fire, which means everything that burns, including acids and electricity and, all, whatever, it's all Agni. Vayu is a personification of wind, air, frequencies also, like currents of energy, whatever runs. Okay, and so on. Now, these are not gods. They are called gods because there is a lot of confusion about the idea of God. They should be called devas. They are representatives of God, because they are the manifestation of existence of these principles. God is existence, is Sat, Brahman, Param Brahman. So the devas are manifestation of existence, the supreme existence, the sum total of existence, but specifically in the material world. We are also manifestations of God, because we are Atman. And Atman is not different from Brahman. So we are also existence. Small, very small parts of existence, but we are still existence, so we are still God. Now, the avatars sometimes are called gods, but they're not really gods. So, like Vishnu is an avatar of the Param Brahman. And Vishnu is not limited to this material world. The devas are limited to the existence of this universe for the space, the place, and the duration of this universe, and then they are born and they die. And they're not the same everywhere. But the principle is same everywhere, cycle after cycle. But they're not, the individual is different, because the devas are living beings, individual living beings just like us. We can become a deva. You can become a deva. You understand?
Yeah.
God is the sum total of everything. God can manifest any form, but it's not, these forms don't have a beginning or an end. They just appear and disappear. They're not born and they don't die. They just appear and disappear. Let's make an example. When you have a friend you have known only through internet or telephone, like me, okay?
Yeah.
You know that I exist, but you have not seen me in your house.
Yeah.
You have not touched me. Okay, so if one day I come to your house, that's not that my existence starts at that time. But I am appearing in your house. And then, at the end of my visit, when I've been a guest, I don't know, for 1 day, 2 days, a week, then I will disappear from your house. But that doesn't mean I will not exist anymore. You understand? So this is the concept of avatar. The appearance and disappearance is not of the avatars, are not like the birth and death of individual beings. Like Krishna saying it, janma karma chame divyam, evam yoveti tattataha. Now, someone who can really understand the transcendental nature, the nature of God and the manifestations and the avatars, also becomes free from birth and death. Because that's a spiritual level. The devas in the material world, they're not on the spiritual level. They are in a very high position, but they're not in the spiritual level. They still have material bodies that are born and that will die. The body of God, the bodies of God, they're not born and they don't die. They appear and disappear. And while they appear, they can show any form. You understand?
Yeah, I get it.
So this is the difference. When we talk about gods, we need to really to clarify what we mean by that. Because if you read the God of the Bible, he's not God by any means. Because he's not eternal. He's not omnipresent. He's not omniscient. He's not good, for example, because he's a psychopathic maniac, genocidal. He orders, slaughter and rape and, slavery and whatnot, destruction and everything. And he does it, even himself. Just the great flood, he killed everyone. Because why? Because he was not happy that they were not behaving like he wanted. So, okay, let's kill everybody. Hey, guy, if you are, pal, if you are omnipotent, why don't you change the nature? You created them, you created a defective product. If you are God, if you're all-powerful, omnipotent, just fix them. Make them perfect. What's the big deal? No. He has to kill everyone, drown even the animals. So, what kind of God is that? You understand?
Yeah.
So, but we are, we have become used to think that is God. So people think that God is just someone who's more powerful than human beings and can do whatever they want. Which is not the real definition of God. Does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay.
And yeah, no, thank you for there's a lot
I cannot
of information.
distinguish your words. You have to enunciate. What?
Oh yes, sorry. I was saying no. Thank you for the
Okay.
the
Good.
information, the knowledge.
Thanks you for
There's a lot of
participating.
things to take in. There's a lot to take in, but it's good. It's good. I'm really happy with how.
Yeah, I hope we can do it again soon.
Definitely, I'm yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
we can.
Thanks.
Thank you, Mataji.
We'll talk on the
because
phone.
of the knowledge that you showed
Welcome.
to us.
We'll talk on the phone.
Okay.
Zai.
Thank you.
Nice.